Hey, I'm Matt. I built a commercial cleaning business from zero to multi, 7 figures in less than 5 years. And along the way, I have dealt with a lot of different stressful situations and things that sometimes made me want to stop or quit. Now, this video is going to be about how can you handle stress? What have I done, and what are some tips that you can implement in your business to help you grow your company regardless of how you feel and what's going on? Because let's be real about it. If we're feeling stressed, if we're feeling overwhelmed, it's really difficult to do what our company needs done in order for it to thrive. So in this video, we're gonna go over all the different things that can cause stress, and then we're gonna go over some things that you can do in order to make sure that your company stays on the right path and so that you can live a happy life along the way. Now, I know we all have different situations and I've gone through different things, but here are the top 3 things that I see that tend to affect me and other cleaning company owners that I interact with. The first is there was a scientist named Abraham Maslow who posited that everybody has a hierarchy of needs, which means that once you solve the base need, you're gonna have another set of needs that come after that, and then after that, and after that. And here is what that looks like. At the very base of human needs, we have psychological needs. That's breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing, sleep. We can't worry about building a business if we're worried about what we're gonna eat, right? Then we have safety and security and up and up and up. And what happens is in our business, as we advance, and even in our lives, as we advance through those needs and we're moving up the actualization pyramid, you could call it, this Maslow's hierarchy of needs pyramid, if a client cancels, that threatens us wherever we are at on this hierarchy of needs. Nobody likes to move backwards in life, right? But if your client canceling services on you, or if you are spending money on marketing and it doesn't feel like your business is growing and you feel this sense of loss and like you're losing money, it is threatening where you are at on that hierarchy of needs. And whenever we detect as humans that we're being moved downward on this hierarchy, it causes that stress response because we don't want to go back to where we were before. We want to keep progressing. Or if we feel like we're stalling, that is one of the sources of stress. Ultimately, what this boils down to is the sense of loss of progress. And number 2, which is extremely common for many commercial cleaning business owners, is this sense of overwhelm that happens. And what is really causing this sense of overwhelm? If you think of a time whenever you weren't sure what to do, how to do it, which thing to pick, you're just completely flooded with everything that's going on in your life and in your business, it ultimately stems from a lack of control. And if we want to consider a simple example of this, think of, if you have any kids, I think of my kids. They get very stressed out whenever I have to make them sit in the car for a certain amount of time as we go on a trip. But if I give them some options along the way that they can choose from to play with to help pass the time, that helps them tremendously. If we give them a sense of control and a sense of options, then it helps de-stress them and help them feel like they're at least in some control over their situation. As opposed to, in our situations, whenever we're building our company, if we feel this overwhelm, it's typically stemming from our idea that we don't have control. We aren't sure what to do. And that lack of control has us feeling like we're strapped in the seat of this vehicle that's flying or that's crashing and we can't do anything about it. And then the third major cause that I see impacting other commercial cleaning business owners as well as myself is this. And it's best explained with an example. If you have an important cleaning client, and you know that the cleaning time starts there at 5 o'clock in the evening, and you have an employee who shows up to that cleaning at 7 o'clock, or they don't call at 5 o'clock, but they eventually show up at 7 o'clock, how upset are you gonna be about that? How stressed will you be from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock, wondering if they're gonna make it? Did you go in to handle it? What's going on in your mind right now? What happened to them? But let's say this. Let's say that you know that employee has told you that, oh, I'm gonna have to work at my day job late today and I won't be able to get there until 7 o'clock. They had set your expectations. Now, let's think through that scenario again. You're aware they're not gonna show up until 7 o'clock. What's the problem? There's no problem now. It's the same scenario. They're showing up at 7, the start time is at 5 typically, but your expectations are set accurately and set properly. One of the biggest causes of stress is simply us as commercial cleaning business owners not setting our expectations optimally for the different situations we're going to come across as business owners. So those are the three main causes that I've come across as far as that cause us lots of stress and me lots of stress if I'm not really looking out for them. But the beautiful thing about this is now we can do something about it. Now we can actually exert some control over the situation. And what we want to do first before actually addressing the stress itself is we want to prevent it ever from happening if at all possible. So here are two things that we can do to help prevent stress or at least minimize it whenever it does come up. That first one is very closely tied to that third stress causer, which is setting our expectations accurately and optimally. Let's use another example here. Let's say you're new in your commercial cleaning business. You're trying to get some clients. If you expect your first time you spend any money on marketing, let's say it's on Google Ads, you're going to spend $100 on Google Ads. You're going to get a conversion from that. And it's going to turn into a lead on your website. That person that signed up on your website is going to be so excited to get a quote from you. You're expecting them to think your company is the greatest company that's ever been on the earth. You're going to do this. You're going to close them on the spot. You're going to set up the deal. You're going to win them and start cleaning the next day. That's going to really upset your expectations because typically it is not going to work that way at all. Typically, they're evaluating multiple companies and they're going to take a long time to make a decision sometimes. And sometimes they might be picky on price or on the different things that you offer in service. So what could you do instead? You can set your expectations to where you know or expect that client to take a long time to make decisions. You can expect to spend more on marketing dollars at the beginning of your business because you don't have much of a reputation yet. You can also expect these prospects to ask questions you hadn't thought of yet and be ready to answer those because you're not going to be as stressed when they ask it because you've set your expectations to where they're going to ask things you're not totally prepared for. And ironically, in that way, you will be prepared in that situation. So what I would encourage you to do is to list out all of the expectations that you need to set for yourself as a commercial cleaning business owner and all the challenges that you might face. And your expectations can be very general. They don't need to be extremely specific about each of those situations. I would consider saying, make them very open-ended expectations. I expect marketing to take a lot longer to work than I thought it would. I expect clients to take months to move forward instead of days. I expect cleaners to need more time and training than I first anticipated. I expect clients to be more upset when things go wrong than I would have expected. So find ways to tailor your expectations downward so that either you meet them where they're at and it doesn't stress you out as much because it met your expectations, or they are exceeded and it's something to be excited about, as opposed to setting your expectations way up here. Everything's going to be great. My company's going to be fantastic right out of the gate, or it's going to get way better because we're listening to this video or anything like that. And then your expectations get violated and the only way you have to go is down. Set them to where you're realistic on a baseline, and then you can only be enthusiastic and excited whenever things do exceed them. And a word of caution on this, you don't want to go too far down either because, again, you're setting your internal temperature on this. If you're going to set expectations so low to where you don't even want to do your business at all, that's probably also unrealistic expectations on the downside. So put expectations to your advantage by setting them optimally. The next major way to prevent stress that's worked for me is tie your business and your pursuit in your business to something greater. I understand that very, very, very few people ever start a cleaning business just because they love cleaning. I started it because I wanted to make a lifestyle change. I wanted to get my wife out of her day job. I wanted her to be able to homeschool our kids. I wanted to build something that I was proud of and to have control over my life. And then what happens is as the company grew, we were able to help other people and impact other people's lives beyond our own. And now whenever stressful times come, it's not nearly as stressful because we're so focused on how excited we are to build something that's great and that helps other people. That gives us the energy and the momentum to keep pushing no matter what shows up, no matter what challenges us in our company. A very practical way to implement this is to actually be generous. If you really want to change how you feel whenever stress strikes, Go be generous with your company now. Find a church or a nonprofit or something or someone to give to and to help to, whether it's time or resources or profits, anything like that. Start contributing to something greater than yourself and even greater than your business. Then your company has a purpose. It's not just all about you, because if it's all just about you, then whenever things threaten you and your hierarchy of needs and everything else we've talked about, it's going to really stress you out. But if you tie your company to something greater than yourself, then when stress comes, you can be far more resilient and purpose-driven. So those are some things you can start doing now to help prevent and lower stress whenever it hits you. Now, we live in the real world, right? Stress is going to come, it's going to slap us across the face, it's going to surprise us. How do we deal with it when it does impact us? Here's two things that I do. The first one is I like to make a mental frame that I put stress in every single time, no matter what it is that comes out and hits me. The first mental frame that I like to use is that this will make a really good story one day. And I bask in that. And I think through how I would tell that story. And I even come up with jokes along the way about how I would share the story in front of other people. And that thing actually changes my internal chemistry about how I'm thinking about the stress, because now I'm laughing about it. And now I'm having a clear mind about it. And I can think of myself outside of the situation. And now I can think of, what do we need to do now? What decisions do I need to make now to get out of this? So build the story. Think of it like you're writing a novel about yourself or a story about yourself. This situation that you're in right now, whether you're in one now or not, or you're about to head into one, or you just got out of one, can make a really good story one day. So write that story with your situation. The second mental frame that I like to use is that this right now, this stressful situation, this client canceling, this betrayal by an employee, this whatever it is that's going on with everything it feels like is falling apart, this situation right now is the price that needs paid to build something great. And if I get through this, then I've paid that price. If I just don't quit, if I just don't go backwards, I don't even have to go forward, just don't go backwards. I'm willing to pay the price of not quitting and seeing this through. And that's the price that it takes to build a great company. And I'm willing to pay it. And that is that second mental frame, is I'm willing to pay this price for what I want and for the life that I want. And as we talked about with being generous and purpose-driven, for doing all of that, this is the price to build something that can impact the world in that way. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what price are you willing to pay to build your company? What price are you willing to pay to build something that can truly be great? So those are my two mental frames. Now the last thing is an actual action in real life. And here it is. I'm going to use the example of the buffalo here. I was in a consulting group called C12, and I love their example of the use of the buffalo. The buffalo, when a storm is coming, is unlike any other animal. All the other animals run away from the storm, and they stay in the storm a lot longer because of it. The buffalo, however, turns directly and runs straight through that storm. They're through the storm way faster than all the animals who are trying to scatter and get away from it as the storm chases them down. The buffalo cuts right through it. So here's the actual action for this. Many business owners and cleaning business owners will try to run from the storm, which looks like, I'm going to go out and just have a day to myself. I'm going to go out and just avoid talking about this. I'm not going to talk to the person I need to talk to. I'm going to go have some fun. I'm going to slack off of work for a little while, or I'm going to do something else in my business that's not associated with this stressful problem. They're going to run away from the storm. And then another group of business owners who think they're actually solving the problem are going to do something like this. Let's say that you have a facility where they had a lot of complaints. And so you're going to go try to fix this problem of the complaints. That's the storm. You're afraid you're going to lose this account. So you're going to go clean this building all on your own, or you're going to clean it with the crew. Well, is that really solving the problem? You and going cleaning? You might be putting a Band-Aid on it temporarily. You might feel like you're attacking the problem, but are you really? Here is what cutting through the storm looks like and going right to it. It is using your emotional energy and all that stress, channeling it into a direction that is a permanent action. And what I mean by permanent action is this, is when you invest the time in what you're about to do next, After you're done doing that work, whether you're updating a policy or a training video or something like that, the impact of that one action and the energy you put into it is going to last way longer than you going and cleaning a building. So think of the permanence of your actions. Use your energy to fix systems and to initiate permanence in your company, as opposed to Band-Aids and temporary fixes. Those things are very, very tempting because they're familiar to us, right? They give us a sense of control still. We're still doing something about it, but those issues and those storms can loop right back around if we don't use our stress and channel it in a way that's going to fix the problem. And if you want to learn more about how to build a commercial cleaning company, like I did, I try to share with you as much as I possibly can. Go to commercialcleaningsceo.com and check out the resources that we have there available to you to help you build your cleaning company and make it something great, something that blesses your life. Again, I'm Matt Pancarina, the founder and CEO of a multi-million-dollar commercial cleaning business. Thanks for watching. Take care until next time.